So that's it. Generally, people will come to us with grants, but we can help with the discovery, like figuring out what grants work best for you, coaching you through that process of writing the grant, and also with the reporting. That probably is the hardest thing because a lot of times tracking and making sure that you're keeping track of like your outcomes is one of the challenges for some smaller businesses. Yeah, so
and then maybe Catherine, next up for you, like curious on like what you look for in like applicants for deciding whether they're a good fit for like a new CDI loan.
So again, where we come into play is we kind of fill the gap of what a financial institution may not be comfortable with. So we'll get out a 590 personal credit score, and that's using TransUnion. Because we are an SBA lender, we do just need to make sure there isn't anything in your background that would make you ineligible for those SBA funds. So we do a background check just to make sure there's no tax liens out there for you or for the business. No defaults on government debt. A big obstacle that we're running into right now is student loan defaults, because the government has started to try to take their payments back out of borrowers' accounts, and they haven't necessarily been notified. So I would say lately we've run into a lot of issues with folks that are already been reported for defaults. So if you have any student loans out there, please check on them right now. Make sure you're on a payment plan, because that is something that has recently changed. And then, criminal history, just can't be anything involves fraud, theft, or financial crime, or financial institution has a loss. So those are kind of the big things that can make somebody ineligible for borrowing. And then really, it's just, having a solid business plan. If you, since most of you seem to be existing business owners, please, when you're filing your tax returns, keep them. A lot of times we end up with tax transcripts when folks are applying for business loans, and we will not accept tax transcripts. We want to see your full, complete schedule. So even if you file like Schedule C on your personal tax return, we're going to want to see the personal tax return with all the schedules. And then there's, of course, as anyone, you've got all your documentation you're going to need for a grant. We have a lot of documentation that we need for a loan. But it's just being prepared and coming, to the table with, I need $50,000 to do X, Y, Z. Not saying, I don't know how much I, can be approved for. What do you think you can get me? Like come, and we have a lot of those conversations. People are like, I just need money. Well, what do you need the money for? So come with a plan. Come with a plan, have, something to back it up with. But whether you're in that early stage or existing, just being able to show, some positive revenue. And if you're not revenue positive, but whatever it is that you're going to do is going to turn things around and be able to generate revenue, we can certainly look at that too. We just need to see some projections of how it is that if you're adding this product or this service, or you're going to carry this new line, how that's going to help increase sales. So really, it all comes down to numbers.
And what is that application process? Is it like somebody's coming up with submitting a business plan and a financial model and tax returns at the same time, or what's the initial I'm reaching out for the first time being CDI, and then what does that process and kind of additional data discovery look like from there to when you're getting funding in your account?
Yeah. So process turnaround time, it can be about 2 to 3 months from start to finish. But you can reach out to somebody directly at CDI. We have at our website, we've got an inquiry portal. I also get referrals from other partners like SCORE and SBDC and other organizations. So however that comes to me, our initial conversation is to do a phone appointment. I want to learn about you and your business, how long have you been in the business. It's really great when you can show industry knowledge and experience versus, maybe tomorrow I wake up and want to start my own business. I've never done that before. So there's some different things that, we're going to have a conversation about. And what does that funding look like? From an application process, there is an application link that I send out to you. It's a $25 application fee. Once I get the application back, 3 years of tax returns and your driver's license or state ID, that's where we start the credit and background check. And if there aren't any red flags that come up from that process, then it's just a matter of going through a loan documentation checklist, which is something that we share on that initial conversation, so that you know everything that we need to pull together. A lot of times I think it can be really frustrating when you're working with financial institutions, as you think you've turned everything in, and then they're like, oh, but wait, I need this, or I need that. We try to be very upfront of, here's everything that we need to collect for the application process. From an underwriting, so it can take a week or two for those documents to come back. It can take a week or two for things to go through underwriting. And then after it goes through underwriting, if it's approved, we'll send you a letter of intent that says, here's your approved amount, here's your monthly payment, here's your interest rate. And there might be some closing condition items that we need to collect, like maybe some insurance, adding CDI as a lost payee or certificate holder. Same thing as if you were going through another financial institution. They just want to make sure that there's some insurance to protect you as a business owner, so you don't lose your assets if something were to happen. And then we're ready to meet and sign loan documents to fund. So a lot of it depends on how quickly it is for you to supply those documents back to us, and quick turnaround time. There could be a little Q&A throughout the process. Underwriting might have a question about your number, which is why it's really important that you're the one. It's fine if you have assistance. There's a lot of early grading programs out there that can help you with your projections and help you with your business plan. If you use AI, going off of what you said, you have to dig into it and personalize it, because we can also tell if it's been something that's been generated that makes zero sense to what it is that you're applying for. So definitely use those resources, they're great, but double check it. Don't go 100% off of that information that they're sharing with you. So long story short, 2 to 3 month turnaround time for our loan process at ACDI. From time to time, we do have loan specials that we roll out. That can be a more streamlined process, where it could be 2% interest rate for $5,000 or $10,000. It's not big dollars, but it's enough to kind of get some equity, working capital out to you to do something with the product. When we're looking at a special like that, we usually try to turn that around in about a month, and it's a much more streamlined process of a couple documents, and that's really all we need for that.
I have to go with this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've sent clients, and 3 or 4 of them, and it was just like, I don't even, so.
Yeah. If you get in the process early, it's like the next week you have your funding.
Yeah.
But the more long down you get, then it's awesome.
So do you sign up somewhere so you can be notified of those?
So absolutely go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. And the newsletter is how you're going to get access to some of the different funding opportunities that are out there when we do a loan special. But they also provide, through our Women's Business Center, a lot of great free resources. So you'll get calendar events. My favorite thing is on Tuesdays, they do these classes called Tune Up Tuesdays. They're virtual during the lunch hour. There can be things on marketing, branding, turning social media followers into clients. During tax season, we do a lot of tax prep. We do a QuickBooks. There's all kinds of different things that are available that we bring on a subject matter expert to teach. Also, if it's something that interests you but you're not available to attend, you can still sign up for it. You'll get the replay, you'll get the training materials and everything with that too.
And then, Rebecca, I think we'd love to hear a bit about, as you were kind of preparing for, looking for some outside fundraising, did you have an investor a presentation or financial projections, or what were some of the materials that you used, and how did you kind of prepare and figure out how do I make these look good and stand out to actually be able to obtain funding?
Yeah. Okay, I've done a handful of different things. So with the line of credit, something was required for that, and then for the grant, and then for my friends and family loan. So line of credit was more just documents of what the business has done. So that's all I needed for that.
Yeah.
For the grant, it was more of a pitch deck. It was understanding what they were asking for, understanding what project I was asking them to complete, help them, or have them help me complete, and really being able to answer every financial question they might throw at me. So for the grant writing, for the grant process, it was more of a pitch deck. Talking to companies who had already received that grant is huge, because they got it for whatever they did, so you might as well learn from them. And I really think that's part of the reason I received the grant, because I spoke to previous grant owners, or winners, because I don't think I would have given them what they wanted without knowing. So that's really important. Talk to people who have been there and done that, and no matter what kind of funding you're looking for. And then for the friends and family, I still went down more of the professional route. I made a pitch deck. I knew what projects I wanted to complete. I had an understanding of how much time I thought I would need to pay it back. And I understood the risks of not being able to do that, but the probability of how we could be successful with that. So I still went down the more professional route for the friends and family, and I would encourage that because you need to draw that line still, because it is a business transaction. So doing a lot of research, talking to a lot of people who have been in those shoes, but don't take just one person's experience as this is how the experience is gonna be for me. So talk to several.
And then for like resources on like kind of figuring out like what is like a good pitch deck and like presentation like look like, was that like again like just asking around and doing research on your own, or kind of like, because there's so many different variations of what you can do.
100%.
Like how did you figure out what, like this is something that feels like this is the best, this is the best approach for this, and I feel really confident that this is going to resonate and succeed.
Yeah, and so in both the grant and the friends and family pitch deck that I did, a lot of it was talking to someone who did exactly that. And so I literally was like, can I see your pitch deck?
Yeah.
And I didn't copy it, but it was really nice to see the full picture, and understand what questions you're answering and make it a full story. And so talking and getting experience through other people, I think is really important. And then as far as my friends and family one, it was making sure I had the full story. From the beginning, the ask, all the way through what we were gonna do with it, and then the outcome of paying it off. Being able to explain that and getting feedback. So I sent both those decks to several people with different capacities of expertise. I'm like, tell me what you think, and then I got, you need to shorten it up, you need to make it more concise. And so pass it out, and don't be afraid to pass it out, because it won't be perfect the first time you do it, but ask people for feedback, and then take their feedback and use it.
Yeah, why to jump in on that? I think do not underestimate the value of storytelling just in general. I think both with potential investors, with potential customers, with potential retailers, like that's, you get a brief period of time to really help someone understand and believe in what you're doing, and it's just such a valuable tool if you can do it well. But yeah, and to that point, I think having people both that know your business and don't know your business that you walk through that with can be really helpful. Because I'll tell you, like, I'm a salesperson, so I sort of tell stories for a living, but I get very different responses from a colleague than I will from like my wife, right? If I'm working on a story and my wife will be like, I don't understand how you got from here to there. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right, I made a bunch of assumptions. And all the other people I talk to are people that already knew those assumptions as well, because they're in my business, versus having someone who doesn't know anything about my business listen to it and say, how did you get from here to here?
I think it's a really good point, because like nobody knows your business better than you do, and to get somebody that is like completely unfamiliar, it's like explain it to you like I'm like a 5-year-old and kind of read through it. Like I think it's a really good way to understand like here's some places where you're making a logic gap because like you're super close to it and it makes sense to you, but somebody that's like brand new to this business and doesn't understand it is not gonna follow, and then you have a chance to iterate on that before you go out and submit a final proposal.
Yeah, and unfortunately, most audiences won't ask the question.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't understand, use an acronym that they